tickets available.
Steve, let's dance to the dance.
Check.
Yeah.
Okay, we are ready to go here. Welcome to the Songwriters Association of Canada, the SAC Toronto Regional Writers Group, and tonight we have a very special guest. She came all the way from Oregon in America, and we actually met Mina when she was living here. She is an SAC alumni panel, and finish off with a performance from Carla Sacco, performing some of Mina's incredible songs. So Mina Whitesides. Sorry, Mina Whitesides. I'm a horrible host. Carla said I was a good host.
You're a great.
I'm terrible. Didn't even introduce our guest.
Why are you go? Do you want to just start talking, or should I start asking you questions? Okay, so she is an amazing songwriter, and she commissioned me to sing her songs. So I'm the voice and the face of her music, and we've done one music video released officially today online called Dance Children Dance. And it's a beautiful video. It's really nice and heartwarming. And before that, we did another video called Love Is. I'm not in that because she has two teams, one in Canada, one in the States. And it's a beautiful dance video, expressionist. So, okay. Mina, could you please describe your background in music and songwriting? First of all, how long have you been doing it?
All right. Well, I have definitely been writing my whole life. I remember making up songs as a little girl, and then throughout my teen years, like a lot of us songwriters, we were very inspired by certain folks, and this gives away my age, but the Beatles and Carole King and Elton John. So just have always had a passion for writing songs, and for many years I did do performance with bands and so on, but I always found that I liked behind the scenes better and creating the songs, and so it's been a long time passion of mine. I'll just keep going, right?
Okay, that's what you're supposed to do. Okay, who inspired you the most? Was it the Beatles?
Well, yeah, I'd say those three I mentioned stand out the most. There were many people, even one of Canada's finest, Gino Vanelli. I remember when I went through a period of his music, then I had to go and study jazz for a couple of years, and so just it's, different people have inspired me and led me in different directions with my songwriting. Songwriting has always been there, but throughout the years that I was raising my children and concentrating on being a mother and a working nurse by profession, I kind of let it go the wayside, but for about the last 10 years, I've been on a roll, and so.
And what is your process? I mean, everybody has different ways of songwriting. They might start with a melody, or they might start with a concept or lyrics, or they might have a special room or use instruments. How do you write your songs, primarily?
Good question. I think I use it varies with me. For most of the time, I do start with a music hook, and then I'll build on that. But occasionally, I just have a concept. Maybe I'm kind of looking around for stories, and I find a concept I want to focus in on, and so that concept will be in my mind, and then I wait kind of till the music matches it, and then a lot of songs come that way. And then the third way that I know is pretty common with me, it's happened over the years, is just come up with a title, just write down a bunch of titles. Sometimes just a title will inspire a whole song.
And if you use music, is it music that comes to your mind, or do you use an instrument?
I use a piano and occasionally guitar, but piano most of the time. And there are times when, and I think maybe every songwriter has gone through this, where some songs you have to really work at. You come up with an idea and you keep working that idea, but there are some that you're just like the light bulb, and and it comes on and the song just pours out. And as a matter of fact, one of the songs that we're doing tonight, Forever Rain, was inspired by my friend was going through terrible grief of just her husband being killed suddenly, and so I just wanted to gift that to her, and so I started focusing in on what would this type of grief feel like, and so that's where Forever Rain came from. And
I didn't even know that, so I have to keep that in mind when I do.
Yeah, and you guys will have the pleasure of hearing that song at the end of our little interview here. Carla's going to sing that, and it is something else.
It's a beautiful song.
Stunning.
It is a beautiful song, very well written. So when you use an instrument or with songwriting, have you had training or is this just natural?
Yes, I have had training. I pursued my own lessons basically, so I kind of went out and bought my own piano around 15 years old, and then started taking some lessons. I started out with classical and then just learning to play by ear. Later I did pursue music in college with a strong jazz background. So
Is that your favorite genre or what is your favorite genre?
it's, I have all kinds, but I think that just fine crafted songs, that strong melodies, strong chord progressions. I don't do well with writing like 2 and 3 chord songs that you can dance to, and I recently had a producer say, can you just write something more simple, upbeat and simple, and I was like stunned, because wait a minute, that song I just played for you is, anyway, but you run into that a lot.
And it's not really you listening to your music. I mean, the more I listen to Mina's songs, the more I appreciate her writing and who she is. They're absolutely beautiful, but then you can read into them. And the more you listen, the more you really see the genius of it. That's how I feel when I listen to your songs more and more. And it's not just simple 2-chord stuff.
Thank you, and you're right, there's a lot of thought that goes into it, and hopefully, and I could pass this on to younger songwriters, if the more you learn and you spend time learning about music and maybe taking classes and so on, it's only going to strengthen your songwriting, and so that's been my goal, is to be stronger musically, and so thank you. Very nice.
You're welcome. Okay, so there's a whole section here on how you met us, because you are an American and you're working with Canadians. How did that happen? And why us? Me and Peter fly all the way over here to work with us. What hooligans, really? Why are you working with us?
It's an endearing question,
Yes.
not like why us?
No, why us? Like,
No, is it?
we're a good team, but we want to hear it from her.
Honestly, I'm going to say divine intervention, because I couldn't figure out why I was in Toronto with my husband. We were newly engaged, and he took a job here, and I had left my full-time job, and so I'm here just trying to figure out what to do. And I was doing some schooling online and stuff, but attended some of the songwriting meetings here, and I met Peter. He's very nice, to talk to, and I just said, I'm looking for someone to produce and record some things. And he said, well, I do that. And so we just started working together on some songs, and so that's continued as I went back to the States eventually when my husband's job was finished here. And so we've continued. I come to visit, we write together, we try to do Skype writing, and so the amazing part of it came with Carla because of their relationship of working together. I couldn't believe it. I was like, who is this woman, and really she's going to be singing on my songs, because at first, like she said, I commissioned her to do some vocals or sessions, whatever you want to call it, but after a while I knew, wait a minute, we're a match made in heaven and we're going to work together. And so I hope they all felt the same, because I felt like this was very divine. It gave me my purpose for being here, and I knew it was important. So.
Oh, that's sweet, and
Thank
yes,
you.
feel the same way, and I do still ask that question. Who is this woman? Carla.
Oh,
She is an anomaly.
Should we share
incredible.
some version of the truth of recording these songs, or no? Should we?
Yeah,
We should. Okay. What I learned with Mina is just like what I learned as a performer. Sometimes you don't know what's going to happen in the next moment, as in life. Good, bad, you don't know. You might not be feeling it. When I started singing for Mina, I left my husband and I was not in a very good place. I was very, very sad. But I lived there and I wanted to work and I loved singing and I loved Mina's songs. So Peter asked me if I'd sing it. And the production, because he's so fantastic and I can sing, it came off great. So Mina said, wow, it's this, what did you say, this soaring vocal. Oh, you must have been flying. And meanwhile, my head was in my lap on on the, what do you call it? I just couldn't even hold my head up with grief but you know.
On the music
That
stand.
probably assisted the process, but.
And
you just-
sitting in a
Sitting,
chair.
not standing.
Your head on the music stand.
But you
Poor
can-
girl was just devastated, but you know, she would.
But it came out wonderfully, and maybe it suits the song. Like that was Forever Rain, the first one.
Definitely.
But don't ever feel like you're gonna feel like it's the right time, or you just don't know what's gonna happen at all, because it was just the most beautiful product, and I didn't know how I got through it. We stopped constantly through the whole thing. I mean, I was really, really sad, but it came out great. And that's a trick. I think that that's educational, because some people think it's just natural. It's not always natural. But we still did it in a half an hour. I was good. Sad but good.
I agree with what you're saying, and there were times where it was downtime because I know you were going through some things, both of you, and I kept thinking, well, am I supposed to just kind of back off of Canada and just work with the folks in Portland? But I don't know, just the voice always said to me, hang in here, we're going to keep making some beautiful music, and there's lots more to come. We have several recordings that have not been released yet and not even quite finished.
You want to say a little bit about your experiences back home with your video production, because it's a beautiful video. If you look at Love Is by Mina,
Yeah.
it's a really lovely video. It's artistic and it's abstract at the same time. It's intuitive. I loved the dance. I loved the choreo. I loved the outfits. And the song was really well produced by Peter as well. It's a glorious thing to me. So you want to talk about how you...
Sure. So one of the songs you'll be hearing here tonight recently released a video, which I commissioned that to be done in Portland. My vision was, studying a lot of dance and met a really nice choreographer. And my vision's always been to bring the music and dance together, and the other part of it that was really important, I was like, in this way I'm bringing my Toronto people and my Portland people together. So that's what we did. I did commission a video with dancers and a choreographer, and the music track was done here, Peter and Carla, and so it's an amazing collaboration. So I encourage you to check it out. I've got cards for everybody for my website. So.
And there was a moment there where we were going to also, shoot a performance segment with Carla in Toronto, and we spoke with the director, and it was going to be, again, just putting these files together in one place, and so the proximity didn't matter, and we would just have to style it so that it fit and all that sort of stuff. So we did consider that idea as well, and we'll consider, and still considering how we can create videos that are shot in 2 different countries and put it together, and with of course. File sharing, it's not that difficult, but it does take a lot of coordination and communication, and you need to be talking to the directors need to be talking as well as with Mina, who's usually the creative ideas man. I mean woman.
That's right. It's easy nowadays to work that way from a distance, of course. It's a lot easier than it used to be.
We've done this a few times where a vocal is sung, in a studio with the karaoke or the instrumental track, and then they just send the vocal over, and then create. It's always better to have the live vocals by itself to mix it and master it. Sticking it on top of a finished instrumentation track is never quite. It doesn't sit in as nicely. So so that's very easy to do if anyone else finds himself in that situation.
You can't master it that way, not really. Okay, current projects, future plans.
I think I covered a little bit that we'll continue working on songs together. I'm not sure where this is leading. I keep hoping that we're looking at an EP in the future, and we are going to be putting some songs up on Spotify and iTunes. And then I have the songs in Portland too that I'm working on with people there. So I think that at first I thought, should I be doing one or the other? And now I'm like, well, with the way things are with the internet, we can do it all. So I will continue doing that.
Do you want to talk a little bit about your prolific phase?
That's all on my website.
That's all there. Okay, go to Mina's website.
Which
For
is
sure.
MinaWhitesides.com.
Very easy. Yes.
Advice. So if you had to give, a few gems or the most important advice that you can give to other people in a similar situation as you, what would that be?
Well, we were talking today about using the analogy of our songs being like children. And so I think that's a really good analogy because we want to see those songs shine bright, go out into the world and find their own life. And so there's many ways. It's kind of fun just to write down all the reasons that your songs are like your children. But bottom line is that's how we have to treat them too, like we're parenting them. So once the songs are there, get them written down, get them recorded. Don't just let songs disappear into the past. And earlier I was saying training. For the younger musicians, definitely. Don't be afraid to take some music courses and learn more. There's always more to learn.
And this most recent release, Dance Children Dance, that's pretty direct.
Yeah.
The song is like children. Dance, children! Get out there!
Can I talk a little bit about Dance Children Dance?
Please do.
Dance Children Dance, I'm going to be totally honest with you guys. I feel like being transparent right now, but there's a lot of division going on in my country, as everybody knows. It's headlines every day. And a lot of negativity floating around out there, and I just was really driven to write a song that would make people happy. And so the analogy of Dance Children Dance is nobody can really not smile when you're just dancing and expressing yourself. And it's kind of like getting in touch with your child side. And so I wanted to make a happy song, and I had the start of it, and I came here for a visit, and Peter and I finished it up, and well, it makes me happy, so I hope it makes others happy too, because that's what it's about, is just to, to make people feel good and spread love and joy.
And it certainly does. Watching it, whoever we showed it to, they had breathtaking responses. They were saying, "Oh, isn't that fantastic and beautiful?" The music plus the visual. So, how important do you think a video is to represent your song?
That is a great question. I think the videos are, and that should be in my advice section. I think if there's any way you can get any type of videos done, it's obviously YouTube is a huge marketing tool, and I even learned a lot more today about that. Peter showed me some other things to do with YouTube, and I was like, I didn't know you could do that. And so anyway, it is a great marketing tool, and I do see some musicians that don't spend any money. They just put up like their song with just the lyrics or the title there, or just pictures going by. And I guess that's okay if you don't have anything else, but if you can take the time to get a video done and put it to an actual good track, it's a great marketing thing and a way to actually express your songs. And for me, I write in videos. I should have said that on the writing part, because I often see the videos, and as we were writing that, I was seeing like children and adults and old people dancing everywhere and smiling, and so it's almost a video in your head before the song even starts.